Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving right in to unpack the sudden disappearance and the highly anticipated return of Anthropic's Claude Fable 5 and Mythos 5 models. If you've been building workflows in the AI space lately, you absolutely felt the impact of this disruption.
So, let's get into it. The big question on everyone's mind, literally the exact thing developers have been asking since the suspension was just, where did Claude Fable 5 go? One day it's the go-to model for thousands of us, and the next, poof, gone into thin air with zero warning.
Well, the root of the problem was a sudden June 12th directive from the U.S. Department of Commerce. They cited national security authorities and slapped on an immediate export control. This meant Anthropic had to suspend access to these models for any foreign national worldwide. And get this, the scope was so massive that it even blocked Anthropic's own foreign employees from accessing their company's models. Wild, right?
19 days. That is exactly how many days these incredibly powerful general access models were completely offline. 19 days. That is a massive, unprecedented gap in public availability, hanging right over Anthropic's most capable model line.
So how did this all play out? On June 12th, the suspension directive hit. After that sudden halt, through late June, we saw about 2 weeks of intense, direct engagement between Anthropic and government officials trying to hash out the security concerns. That whole negotiation successfully culminated on June 30th, when the export clearance was finally lifted. And that brings us to July 1st, today, where access restoration officially begins.
Section 1. The Cybersecurity Fix. How Anthropic Responded.
99%. Now, according to Anthropic's own self-reported figures, and yeah, it's worth noting these haven't been independently confirmed just yet, this is the success rate of their newly implemented cybersecurity safeguard layer. They basically engineered this specific layer to block the exact jailbreak pattern that spooked the government into issuing that national security directive in the first place.
So how exactly did they earn their clearance to bring the models back? Well, it took a rigid three-step process. Step 1, Anthropic had to actually identify that problematic jailbreak pattern. Step 2, implement that new cybersecurity safeguard layer we just talked about to stop it in its tracks. And Step 3, before getting any clearance, those updated safeguards had to go through rigorous testing by the Commerce Department's Center for AI Standards and Innovation. They had to satisfy those government testers before the controls could be lifted. Section 2, the terms of return, bureaucracy and models.
This return comes with a pretty stark divide depending on the model you're looking at. On one hand, we've got Mythos 5. Its access actually came back last week, but it's heavily restricted. It's locked down to a select group of vetted, government-approved partners through the Glasswing program, specifically for defensive cybersecurity work. But on the other hand, Fable 5 is getting a broad, public platform return. It's being re-enabled for general use right now across AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Foundry. But Anthropic didn't just patch a bug and walk away. Based on press coverage of the Commerce Department's clearance letter, they reportedly had to agree to some pretty rigorous, ongoing conditions. We're looking at 3 main things: continued detection of security risks, strict coordination with government protocols for future releases, and mandatory reporting of any malicious activity they spot.
So what does this all mean in the grand scheme of things? Well, it points to a standing compliance relationship. Instead of just getting a one-and-done stamp of approval to export a product, this is a major shift toward an ongoing, active partnership with government regulators. It really highlights how the relationship between big AI labs and the government is evolving, from simple permissions to active, continuous oversight.
Section 3. Impact on everyday users. I absolutely love this quote from tech writer Aaron Rose over at tech-reader.blog. He cuts right through the noise, saying, "This is a product availability story, not a drama story. 19 days offline, safeguards added, access restored. That's the whole shebang." It's so easy to get swept up in the dramatic sound of an export suspension, but to really grasp the tech landscape, we've got to focus on the practical reality.
And that practical reality is that, as of today, Fable 5 is officially back on Claude.ai, the API, and Claude Code, so you can head back to the platforms you rely on and find your model waiting for you to get back to work.
But hang on, there are a few rollout details you're going to want to keep in mind. You might hit some temporary throttling while the systems spin back up. Basically, Anthropic is offering Fable 5 access at up to 50% of weekly usage limits through July 7th for Pro, Max, Team, and Select Enterprise plans. Oh, And while per-token pricing is reportedly unchanged, just keep in mind that detail currently traces back to a single source, so it hasn't been completely cross-confirmed for sure yet.
You'll also want to keep an eye out for a small operational change that's definitely going to affect your prompting. Because of that highly effective security layer we talked about, the new cybersecurity classifier might be a little, well, trigger-happy. Anthropic themselves warned it may flag a higher rate of totally benign requests than before. So if your prompts are even slightly cybersecurity adjacent, just be prepared for a few more blocked responses than you're used to. Honestly, this whole situation builds a massive case for model redundancy in your dev stacks. And a huge shout-out is owed to Opus 4.8. While Fable 5 was completely locked down for those 19 days, Opus 4.8 stepped up and successfully carried the fallback load for the entire interruption. It was the quiet, reliable backup that kept workflows moving when the main player was taken off the board.
And that brings us to our final thought. With Fable 5 safely back online, we have to look ahead and ask, is this new ongoing government reporting relationship an industry precedent or just a single data point? Are we going to see every major AI model release moving forward require this level of government coordination, or was this 19-day incident just a one-off? One case doesn't write the rulebook, but this is absolutely a pattern worth watching. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this helps you get right back to building.